Yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it sounds fine to me. Yeah, did Lauren send you that video that she took?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. She might have said it to Maddie.
Okay. Yeah. Thought you sent it to one of y'all. Uh,
I'll have the YouTube unmuted so I can hear it on this
your
phone.
gain is definitely hotter than last time.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check. Better? More?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. I can pull it down a little bit more. I'm at
Uh,
like 50% right now. I can cut it down a little bit. Check 1 2. Check. Checkity. Check 1 2.
yeah, I would say put it like around a quarter, maybe.
A quarter gain. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Uh,
I don't know if that makes me. I don't know if I'm louder in my Australian accent or not. This chair is so squeaky, and I tried to WD-40 it. Does it? Did you hear it at all?
I don't hear it. No.
Okay, good.
Let's see. You keep talking real quick.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1. Checkity 2. Checkity check 1 2.
Okay, that should be good.
Cool.
Okay. Um. No. What do you want? We're not going outside. Go lay down. Go lay down. All right. I feel like I'm ready.
All right. I'm ready
Whenever
when you are.
you are. Okay. I just saw what you posted.
Fisticuffs, man.
uh, all right. I'm gonna press that.
Is your under review the Raiders? Did you say no? Lost you. Nope. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. No. What I was saying is, hold on a second. Are you coming through? No, you can't be coming through the computer. Are you coming through your Yeti?
Yeah. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
Okay. That
Right?
was that was weird. I
Check.
think I think Discord just glitched for a second.
Huh.
I heard like an
Yeah, I'm
echo
coming
of
through
my
my Yeti.
voice, but yeah, okay. Um, no, I switched it to the Texans defense and really Lovey Smith,
Muy interesante.
and I have my
Right.
reasonings. I'll explain. Wait a minute, what do you?
Um, I was thinking about I was thinking about changing. If you need to go, I can I'm gonna change my best of the booth if you wanna go. I can research for a second.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Give me a second. What do you want? What do you want?
I gotta do my research because I changed my best of the booth. This is just so it's not as boring for those of you who did join us on the YouTubes. Good old interwebs.
Okay. I think I'm good. I think I'm ready.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep,
You have your new best of the booth.
I do.
Okay. Let's do this.
Said that Tom Brady is still a doo-doo head.
That he is, Z-Man. That he is. Tom Brady is still playing like poo-poo, and all is right with the world. Welcome to another episode of Booth Review. As always, I am your host, Devin Primrose, joined by my brother from another mother, Mr. Blake Ivy. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. I can't hear the intro until so I just heard it as you were talking. That's great. Yeah, he is still a doo-doo head. Zeke had a problem with saying he kept calling people doo-doo head, like he just kept saying it, and I was like, listen, the only person you're allowed to call doo-doo head is Tom Brady, and so now he will basically say it as an excuse to be able to call somebody a doo-doo head. He'll just say Tom Brady is a doo-doo head. So, I'm training up my child in the way he should go, so that he, doesn't join the dark side and become a Tom Brady fan. That would be awful.
Hey, you're teaching him the right way. That's
I am, man.
that's what it's all about, man. That's what
It's
it's all
parenting.
about.
It's good home training. So, but yeah, man. Things are good. I finished up my last course in seminary this week. Or not my last,
Hey.
but finished up my course in seminary this week. I'm only like a quarter of the way to my master's, but so done with that until January. I'm going out of town this weekend. Spend some time with my dad's side of the family. Celebrate my grandmother's birthday. Get to go to Dollywood for the first time ever. So pretty excited.
Heyo.
So I've got a nice little rest. I can just take a breath. And I thought I was gonna have to take Libby to the emergency room tonight. She fell in the bathtub and her eyelid was bleed. I had to just yell for Maddie. I was like, I can't deal with this. I don't do blood. But it was her first big injury.
Yeah.
Which she's way behind Zeke on big injuries on that tally.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So things are calm and also crazy. But what about you, man? How are you?
I'm here. That's about the extent. I've had kind of a crazy week. A lot going on. A lot going on at work. Work's been ridiculous, but yeah, man, I'm here. Still kicking. Got to see some great football this weekend. So that's always a good time. A lot of closer games than there should have been. And a couple of upsets. But yeah, good weekend of sports. That's for sure.
Yes, it was. It was good, man. It was good. So, with that said, who you got as your best of such a great weekend of football? Who is your best of the booth?
Well, I was gonna say I can start off with my best of the booth, but I feel like from what you told me earlier, your under review would flow nicely with that.
So I need to do best of the booth first?
Well, that's what I was thinking. If your under review is who you told me earlier.
Yeah, it is. It's still that. Okay. So my best of the booth. Originally, I was gonna go with the Panthers running attack, both
Solid.
Chuba Hubbard, Chuba Hubbard. I like Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard and Deontay Foreman both had 74 yards on the ground, which is just interesting to me.
Yeah.
But dominant on a Seahawks team that they were not supposed to beat.
Yeah.
So that was great, but I you should not listen to our podcast, any podcast this week that fails to mention what Baker Mayfield did.
True.
Just turn it off. If you start a podcast and they just don't mention what Baker Mayfield did on Thursday night.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. I love that was it Kirk Herbstreit in the booth that asked Al Michaels, he said, "Have you ever seen in all of your years, have you ever seen anything like this?" And he's like, "I don't think I have." Baker Mayfield was picked up on waivers. The Rams announced on Tuesday that they were claiming him on waivers. He played in a game in Sean McVay's offense, which like Sean McVay's like I know it was a simple enough offense that even Jared Goff was able to be an MVP candidate in it, but he's supposed to be this like offensive savant, and Baker Mayfield, who he is, whenever he starts this next game for the Rams, he will be the only quarterback in NFL history to start a game for 2 franchises in the same year. If I heard that stat correctly.
Wow.
Yeah, that no other quarterback has started a game for a team for 2 different teams in the same year. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, you think about the roller coaster that has been Baker Mayfield's career, and that he comes out here prime time Thursday night, and he went from only being on the team for 2 days to being the only quarterback who threw a pass. Technically, he wasn't the starter. It was still is it Perkins? Is that the dude's name?
I think so, because it was Walford, and then Walford got injured last week or the week before, and then I believe that's correct.
So he technically wasn't the starter, but he's the only one who threw pass, and he went 22 for 35. Not great, but not terrible. 230 yards, and that is including a 98-yard touchdown game-winning drive. Just absolutely incredible. And those throws that he made on that last drive were, in the basket, perfect throws, great catches by the receivers, but they didn't honestly have to move much. Like,
Vintage
it was
Baker.
just right there. It was excellent.
Yeah.
And so, this is one of those, this is multiple weeks in a row that I've had a best of the booth who it's like, you know what? It doesn't even matter if this is what this guy's going to do every week. What he did this week was incredible. And so props to Baker Mayfield. That's crazy. Even if this is the best thing he does in his career, and this is the thing he's most known for, it's still freaking impressive to be on a team less than 48 hours and or just over 48 hours and be able to start. However, that we're not a math podcast.
To me it kind of showcases like why this guy was drafted number 1. I say what you want about how his career has panned out. I think that a lot of it is due to being in a franchise that was stuck on the coaching carousel and having to play for multiple different systems over the 4 years that he was in Cleveland. And then he goes to Carolina, and first year in Carolina, the head coach gets canned halfway through the season, has to learn another whole new system under Steve Wilkes. So it's just, it's that constant instability at the most important, leadership position for a player. But I think that this just showcases that this guy is he is a smart football player, smart enough to be able to go in, learn plays in 2 days, learn a playbook, and turn around and go out there and ball out, have a good game. For most of it, he didn't look great, but what do you expect from a guy that's been there for 2 days, and then to finish the game in that fashion? I think I posted in Discord immediately after that. This is the Baker that we love to see. This is the guy that we all hoped to see when he came out of college, and that the handful of times that it happened throughout his tenure in Cleveland, this is what we loved about it. Is the guy that goes out there, puts the team on his back, says, "I've got this. We're winning this game. We're doing it." And it's the Baker that wakes up feeling dangerous. That's what it is. And it's fun. And I still have hope that he can find success somewhere in the NFL because that player is incredibly fun to watch. But
Yes.
the flip side of that, when he's playing terrible, is incredibly sad to watch. So
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that if there is some kind of long-term injury for Stafford in LA and they do have to figure out a quarterback situation for next season, I'm hopeful that Baker can be the guy. And we'll see we'll see how he looks down the stretch over the next 4 games because I do think that this is a tryout potentially for next season. But we'll see what happens. I'm very hopeful for him.
Yeah. She is on it. She needs the attention.
I don't know
tonight.
what she wants. Like, she's been outside. I gave her food. Like, she has everything. Go lay down. Give me a second.
You're good, man. What's going on, YouTube fam? You can't, if you're not watching right now, you can't say anything. So we'll just have to. I'll just like pretend to answer. How's everything going? How's life? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've been there. We all been there. I understand. All right. Devin's back. Good. I was trying to entertain the YouTube audience who's going to watch this later. And so that'll be what it'll be.
All right. Yeah, hats off to Baker. Just job well done.
Football is more fun when Baker is playing well.
Definitely.
He's just a fun player to watch.
100%. 100%.
So who you got as your best of the booth? I'll act surprised, like we haven't talked about this. And like we're not about to argue a whole lot.
My best of the booth is specifically one former Rams quarterback in Jared Goff, who had a fantastic day against a decent but not great Vikings offense, or Vikings defense, but a team that is a 10-win team and a team that they probably should lose to, that they're probably inferior to. But Jared Goff didn't care. He went out there 27 of 39 for 69.2% completion percentage, 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Just a very, very good, efficient day, not turning the ball over, and getting it done in the passing game. And really, that's kind of what he's done over the last 6 games that they've been on this streak, turning around their season. Over the last 6 games, they've gone 5-1. They started off the season going 1-6. This Detroit Lions team, and over the last 6 games, he's thrown 10 touchdowns to just 1 pick. Over the first 7, he had 12 touchdowns with 6 picks. Something that could be causing that difference is guys are starting to get healthy. They're coming back. His receivers, his weapons.
Yeah,
I think he's also being better, protected better. Over the first 7 games, he was sacked 13 times. Over the last 6, he's only been sacked 6 times. So he's facing less pressure, which probably means better blocking. And I think that he's also realizing that he doesn't have to be the one to do it all because the Detroit defense has been playing a lot better too. I want to give you some defensive statistics here. Over the first 7 games when they went 1-6, this defense was the worst in the league. 32.2 points per game. A -5 turnover differential. Only 11 sacks. 5 of those were in 1 game against Washington. So really 6 over the other 6 games. And they were allowing a completion percentage of 70.6. Over the last 6, when they've gone 5-1, this defense has allowed 20.3 points per game. That's 12 points less per game. They have a turnover differential of +8, +8. 15 sacks, so getting more pressure consistently. 60.5% completion percentage. That's a drop of 10%, which I think is pretty drastic in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think this team has completely turned their season around. They're in a spot to where if they win out, maybe get a couple teams to lose a game here or there. they're probably going to finish in that 7th spot. They're going to get into the playoffs, and I think this is a team that could go on the road as a wild card team and sneak out a victory in the first round of the playoffs. I could very easily see them getting to the second round. I don't want to say they're going to go on a Super Bowl run. I don't think that this team is quite there yet, but they are certainly building something. And I think that the last 6 games has shown a lot about the future of this team. Dan Campbell is making some really good coaching decisions over the last 6 games. I think in Buffalo he had a couple of blunders that might have cost him that game, but on Sunday he was aggressive in coaching. He had called a fake punt when they were, I think they were already up 3 points.
They were like almost in the opponent's field goal range, if that makes sense. Like if they hadn't gotten it, I think they would have given it to them in field goal range.
Yep.
Yeah.
On a 3rd down, when they were expected to just be running out the clock, they called a pass play to Penei Sewell. Like amazing, aggressive play calling that I think just like it shows where this team's confidence level is. And I'm excited, man. This Lions team has been fun to follow over the last year and a half. Very heartbreaking to follow at times too. But they finally are figuring it out, and I'm excited for the future. So I have to give it to specifically Jared Goff, but really the entire team and Dan Campbell for a fantastic performance on Sunday.
Yeah, what's funny is before we talked, I had actually done the research, and I was going to make the Lions offensive line my best of the booth. I had already, like, I kind of watched, if you guys have never watched Baldy's breakdowns on YouTube, they're fantastic. Like, if watching NFL Red Zone, and even if you go watch highlights, you don't always get, like, the full story of the why.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at the stat line of this game, there's not much of a difference. These two teams, in terms of passing yards, almost identical. Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff both played really well. Both teams, the time of possession, I think, was similar. The total yards were similar. The number of drives was similar. There were two main differences, though. One is that the Vikings, who are supposed to have a pretty good defense, right? Like, they're not as I would say lopsided as the Seahawks or the Lions, where it's like, oh, you have one half of the ball that it's like, oh man, that's terrifying, and the other half that you're like, man, whatever, I can live with that.
Right.
But they're not as balanced as like the Eagles, where it's like both sides, or the Bills, where both you're like, I'm scared of both sides of the ball.
Right.
But the Vikings are supposed to have a competent defense at least. But I mean, they didn't sack Jared Goff at all. No sacks. There were 3 hurries and 4 quarterback hits, so 7 total pressures. I mean, that's unbelievable. Watching, Baldy was talking about it, and he's like, look at this protection. The protection that Jared Goff has been getting. And I actually, this is, a recurring theme as we keep talking about offensive lines. Offensive lines are what it takes to win in the NFL. When Jared Goff was having an MVP type season, he was playing in LA for the Rams, and their offensive line was the best offensive line in football.
Yep.
It was like he was getting tons of time. He was able to sling the ball all over the place. And then their offensive line goes down, and even this year you could see it with Stafford. Like, I mean, he was running, maybe was running for his literal life back there with how bad that injury could be. And so, I mean, but I thought we were going to argue about this a lot more, but I actually agree with you on most of those things. I think that their pass defense has gotten to be where it is, that kind of like above average, maybe even like Kansas City level, that it's like they're getting enough pressure, and their corners and their safeties on the back end can cover enough to where they can effectively slow down most passing attacks. Now, they did not do that on Sunday. The Vikings still were able to get whatever they wanted through the air. Justin Jefferson had 240 or 220 plus receiving yards in that game. Ridiculous.
I do think that speaks more to their secondary, which I think the secondary has been their weakest point all season, in my opinion. But they still put a lot of pressure on Cousins. Cousins played probably the best game of his season on Sunday, and they put a decent amount of pressure. I want to say they got 3 or 4 sacks on him on Sunday. 3 sacks on Sunday.
Yeah.
So they still putting pressure on him. This is actually the one game that I had. Usually on Sundays I just have Red Zone going, and I had Red Zone going on the TV, and I had this game pulled up on my phone to watch specifically. So I saw a lot of this game, and even defensively, like they're doing some fun things with that line, that defensive front. So I think like you said, that's one area of the defense that has, I feel like, improved consistently throughout the season as it's gone on.
Yes.
Yeah,
but and on the flip side of that, you said it teed up nicely to my under review. Review, I'm gonna go with the Vikings run game.
That's
I mean
fair.
that the Lions have the 7th worst run defense in the league.
Yeah.
They're not a good run defense. The only other team that they've really shut down in this fashion is they did it to Saquon Barkley a few weeks ago, but in both cases, they put both teams in such a deficit out the gate. Well, I don't know that they necessarily did in this game. Sorry, I was thinking about the Jags. The Jags, they held to 95 yards, which is pretty good. You hold somebody to under 100, that's pretty good. But the Jags and the Giants, they were both down a lot, and so it's like you're not going to run the ball at this point. But the real disparity in this game is the Lions were able to run the ball, and the Vikings were not. The Vikings could not run the ball. Dalvin Cook had 22 yards and a fumble. That's terrible for who is supposed to be one of the more reliable running backs in the NFL. His longest run of the day was 5 yards. That was his longest run of the day.
Yeah.
Again, they were still able to get whatever they wanted via the passing game. But really, when you look at stats on this game and you're like, okay, what happened here? The real disparity is the run game. Vikings were not able to do the run game and the pass protection. Those are the two big ones that Lions were able to protect. Vikings were not, but it didn't seem to hurt the Vikings much because the Vikings still threw the ball all over the place. Right. But the Vikings just could not get anything going on the ground, and Dalvin Cook had a fumble. The Lions had no turnovers in this game, and then Hawkinson also fumbled one time for the Vikings. Maybe it's Hawkinson's fault. Maybe he was holding the Lions back. Now he gets over to the Vikings, and he's got just some kind of voodoo hold on the team that he's playing against or playing for. But
really though, you say this isn't a great rushing defense. I'm not going to really argue that point much. But I will say that the turning point of the season, that Packers victory they got 6 weeks ago, over the last 6 games, they've had 2 bad games rush defense wise. One was against the Bears, where Justin Fields ran all over them. That was the game where everybody was like, "Oh, this Chicago offense is amazing." They allowed 258 rushing yards. Terrible. And then the second one was against the Bills, where they allowed 164. Again, mobile quarterback Josh Allen. Outside of that, 106 to the Packers, 89 to the Giants, 95 to the Jags, 22 to the Vikings. Like, those are good days. And like, none of those teams have prolific rushing offenses. The Giants do with Saquon. The Packers can at times with Dillon and Jones. But outside of that, none of those teams have prolific, but still, when you're holding teams to 100 yards or less, still doing pretty good. And even the week before the Packers against the Dolphins, which was another close game, they held them to 107 rushing yards. So it's really a handful of outliers, but yes.
With the Giants and the Jags, both of those teams got down by over a touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And so, like, you're not going to try to push the run game at that point.
Right.
So, yeah, those two, I think, are more situational football than necessarily like an elite run defense, but especially because like, and it is a testament to the Lions offense, because this Lions offense, if when you get down, you're like, oh man, we've got to play catch up because they could score again quick. Like this Lions offense is, I mean, I really think I'd probably put them in terms of how dangerous they are, top 5 in the league.
Yeah.
Like this Lions offense is unbelievably good. And so yeah, I'm about the Lions offense. I'm starting to believe more in the Lions defense. But that's to me that's the side of the ball that I'm not quite convinced
Oh yeah.
yet.
That's fair.
Um,
That's fair.
But as far as like passing attacks, I really don't like. I would put the Chiefs above them. I would put.
I think the Bills are above them.
I would probably put the Chiefs and the Dolphins above them, and I don't know that I would say that the Bills have a better passing attack than the Lions.
Uh,
And on a normal day, obviously it wasn't so this day, but I would say the Vikings
yeah.
are probably in that same. I mean, and the Bengals.
Yeah.
You know, those are to me those. Whatever order you want to put those in, honestly, after Kansas City, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
You could argue that the Bills, the Bengals,
The Eagles
the
right there,
Vikings,
too.
the Lions. See, I feel like the Eagles are so much more of a a run-heavy team.
They are, but they're so explosive in the passing game too. Between AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, like those guys can burn you every single day.
Yeah.
They rely on the run, I think, to help set up the passing game, and they do it
Yeah.
very well. But yeah, I agree, and I've kind of said that all season that the defense is the big area of concern. Even when they were losing, like that was the reason they were losing is because of the defense and the defense allowing so many points. And I think they've done a very good job. I don't know what has changed over the last 6 weeks specifically, but they've done a very good job of really kind of flipping that around and changing it up. So I'm excited, man. Like I said, I don't know how far into January they'll play if they even get to January football, but I think next year is going to be a huge year for them, potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah, especially if they can add a lot through the draft because they still whose pick do they have?
They have the Rams. That's a top 5 pick guaranteed almost at this point.
Yeah. So I mean, like you've got a top 5 pick that you're going to be able to take one of those.
You're probably gonna have your pick of the top cornerback that's out there, the top edge rusher if you want to pair one with Aiden Hutchinson, your top linebacker, like whichever area of concern you feel like is the biggest on your defense, you've got your pick of the top guy there, more than likely.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And depending on where they land, over the next 4 weeks, they could have a top 15 to 20 pick as well.
Yeah.
So of their own. So
they've got a lot of building block.
A lot.
Yeah,
and I think they've got the right guy leading that team.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, as long as they can keep their coordinators and their, there's no telling if their offensive coordinator is going to get poached this offseason.
Yeah.
Which is entirely a possibility. Like if
100%.
I'm a team, it's like, I would love to have the Lions offensive coordinator. Please be my head coach.
Yeah.
That's a team that you're kind of drooling over one of their coordinators. So, as long as you can keep that identity around and keep that offensive line. I mean, those are the two big ones for me. So
absolutely.
But
absolutely.
Yeah, see? Okay. We didn't argue as much as I thought. I'm sorry for the false advertising. We just kind of agreed.
I felt like we wouldn't argue that much. I mean, I thought
you were going to come in here and try to tell me that the Lions have like a great defense, and I was like,
no, so I think they're still ranked like 30th in the league from a points and from a yardage standpoint, but I think that's so much because of the first 7 games of the season, and the last 6 they have drastically improved. I'm not going to say they're a top 5 defense in the league now, but a mid-tier average type defense, I think that's probably where they're at.
Yeah, they're still 31st in total points allowed.
Yeah.
And in total yards, they are also 31st.
And I want to say, I think I looked up, because like I said, over the last 6 games, they've allowed 20.3, I believe is what it was. 20.3 points per game. And I believe that is probably, it's somewhere in that like 15th to 20th area in the league if they had that all season.
Yeah. So right now the Cincinnati Bengals have been allowing 20.4 a game, and they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not going to say they're a top 5, but I think average to top half of the league, I think they're right around that area.
Yeah, but like you're also talking about they've
It
played
is true.
the Giants, the
That
Jags,
is true.
the
Bears. But they've
Bears.
played a Bears team whenever they were scoring points on everybody, and the
Bears put up
offense
30
looked.
on them.
They did, and a Packers team that can be explosive at times, although hasn't been this year. And the Giants were still like a 7-3 team when they played them.
They've been frauds.
I agree, but a lot of people bought in. So I'm not disagreeing with you. Also, the Jags just scored like 34 points on Tennessee, so I think that offense is good but not great.
Every blind squirrel finds a nut.
I mean, that is true. Just to quickly hit my under review.
Yes,
it's Lovie Smith and the Texans defense, because for 57 minutes the Houston Texans had the game won against the Dallas Cowboys in what would have been the biggest upset of the season. Houston, you held this team, this Dallas offense that just dropped 54 points a week ago, to only 20 points for 57 minutes of this game. You had no reason to. Your season was over with. It's been over with. Winning a game could actually hurt your chances to get the first overall pick, but that didn't matter. You came out and fought. You took it to Dallas for the pride of the Lone Star State. And you were up 3 with less than 6 minutes to go, intercepted Dak for the second time on Dallas' own 11-yard line, and after getting stuffed on 3rd and goal, you decided, you know what? Instead of kicking the easy field goal to go up 6, we're going to get a little greedy. We're going to go for the touchdown. You get stuffed again, you turn it over. It's okay, though. You got to keep them from scoring. That's all you got to do. What do? You let them drive 98 yards to score a game-winning, go-ahead touchdown drive to make it 8 games in a row that you have now lost. I just think that's disgraceful. I think that you should be ashamed of yourself. Everybody knew what you had to do. You knew what you had to do, and you couldn't get it done. Minutes away from the biggest upset, and you let it slip between your fingertips. And I do think that coaching decision by Lovie Smith was the wrong decision to go for it on 4th and goal instead of kicking the points. Ultimately, in the end, it wouldn't have mattered because Dallas did go down and score a touchdown. But I think when you're up 6 points, it sends a different message to that team of, hey, we're forcing you to beat us by getting a touchdown. You can't just go down and kick a field goal. So maybe things play out differently. Who knows? But I think that was a very bad call in that moment. So that's why I put him under review.
Yeah. I'm tempted because, like, I've said all year, the Texans make teams forget how to play football. I don't know why, but apparently when people, it's the navy and red, and people are like, what is this weird color scheme? This is just like, it really, can we just talk about it for a minute? Like, it's the weirdest color scheme in the entire league.
It is
honestly weird. I can't think of a team whose color scheme I like less. All of them. It's like, give me the Broncos, like the orange and the navy. Like, sure, I guess, but like, just red and navy. Yeah, I'm not a big navy fan.
Yeah,
like in terms of color, we're becoming a color podcast. We're gonna, if I could be a color commentator and I could just comment on colors all day. That's what like. No thanks, navy. Like, make up your mind. Either be blue or be black. But like, this is. And I say all this, and you're wearing a navy shirt.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you though. But yeah,
it's like navy. You know what? Navy, you're under review. Navy, well, get it together. Be like a blue gray. Blue gray got it going on. Blue gray is a great color. It's one of my favorite colors. Like, but like navy, blue, and just nothing. You can miss me with navy. How about that? You can miss me. Now, branch of the military, hey, thank you for your service. You guys are great. I'm sure. But, like, maybe you should have named yourself after something that didn't suck. Like, the color navy. Like, well, Anyway. So that's what you get, Texans, for making your color navy.
Yeah.
Navy.
Oh man, we got a legit or counterfeit this week.
Oh man, I don't. I prepped for the show and I just like literally forgot about legit or counterfeit.
I've got one for you that might
Heyo!
that might be a little too soon. This will be quick. Let's be a quick hitter.
Okay.
Brock Purdy will be the best quarterback of this draft class.
Oh, remind me who else we got? We got Ritter, we got
Kenny Pickett,
we got Malik Willis.
Those are really the big ones. Matt Corral went to Carolina. He hasn't seen any action.
I'm gonna say no, just because I'm gonna say counterfeit. I just think that I think that Pickett already has shown like more, even though it might not necessarily be as good. But Brock Purdy hasn't had to do much yet. Like
True.
he got to play against a Chargers team or a Dolphins team who had never seen him play before, and so like
Right.
they didn't game plan for him. And then he goes up against a Bucs defense that is non-existent really at this point. Like, and
Fair.
he didn't play lights out. He played okay.
No.
And so if you're gonna play mediocre against the Bucs, but I don't know that I would say counterfeit of him being the best QB in the draft class. Now, if you had asked me, could he be a starting QB? Could he be the 49ers' next starting QB? I might say legit. Like,
I would 100% say legit right now.
Like, I think that he's showing some talent, some skill, and maybe it's just that like I would look like an okay quarterback out there with this 49ers offense. Like this 49ers offense is just absolutely ridiculous. And you've got Kyle Shanahan, who is one of the better play callers in the last few years.
Yeah.
Drawing up these creative plays for these unicorns in Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, that Brock Purdy, all you have to do is not suck, which is essentially all that you've had to tell Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, hey, just don't suck today. That's all you have to do. Just don't suck. And so, I see him as being like, so far, what I see from Brock Purdy is like game manager type QB. There's still maybe it's definitely the homer in me that's like, hey, Desmond Ritter could be a gunslinger, diet Patrick Mahomes style QB. Kenny Pickett could be a diet Drew Brees type QB that's able to, make something happen out of nothing and be good enough.
Yeah.
So I'm not ready to crown him that yet after 2 games. So I'm gonna go counterfeit.
So I'm going counterfeit only for the sole reason that he doesn't have a starting job lined up for him currently.
Yeah.
I think that Desmond Ritter, as long as he plays good, he has a job pretty much waiting for him. Kenny Pickett, as long as he plays good, he has a job pretty much waiting for him there.
Right.
Brock Purdy doesn't. As soon as Garoppolo's healthy, unless he plays
Trey Lance,
unless Purdy plays lights out throughout the rest of the season, which could happen, who knows? I think that they're going to go back to Garoppolo or Trey Lance.
right.
But Purdy, you said mediocre day. He went 16 to 21, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like he had a decent day. It's not a great, it's not a lights out day, but that's a good, respectable performance.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like
Efficient,
it was like, oh yeah,
no
sure.
turnovers. And I'll say
Ultimate
this:
game manager type QB.
Yes, I agree. I agree. But I'll say this: what impressed me the most about watching him this week, and I didn't really get to watch him much last week against the Dolphins, so maybe I would have seen the same thing. But what impressed me the most about him this week is there's 2 things that you often get from rookie quarterbacks, especially rookies making their first start. You either get a quarterback that sits in the pocket too long, trying to find somebody and holds onto the ball too long, and so get a lot of sacks, or will get strip sacks, or will try and rush the ball and force it into tight situations and turn the ball over that way. Or you'll have a quarterback that, when their first read isn't there, they just take off and start trying to pick up yards with their feet. Brock Purdy showed incredible pocket awareness to me, veteran pocket awareness of knowing when the pocket is collapsing and either getting rid of the football or getting out of the pocket and not necessarily taking off with his feet, but continuing to go through his progression on the move and make a play happen that way. And I think that to me is like miles ahead of what I've seen from Pickett in his pocket awareness, and from what I've seen very limited from Malik Willis in Tennessee, which has been terrible. I am excited to see Ridder. It's hard to answer this without seeing Ridder, and we'll see him on Sunday for the first time. But I was really impressed with how Purdy handled himself, because he was under pressure a decent amount from that Tampa Bay front, and it didn't bother him. He showed incredible veteran presence in the pocket. But again, going counterfeit.
Yeah. Good question. I like it.
All right. Give me just a second. I'm going to let Luna in, then we'll hit our picks.
Yeah, I'm going to look up some clinching scenarios. So you're good.
Oh, yeah. All right. Uno momento.
All right, man. All right. So what we got? Who am I going to go with? I guess SB Nation is where we're going to give this info. I don't like your layout. SB Nation. Oh, I think I need to be right back. Hold on. I think Zeke is having a night terror. I gotta go. I'll be back.
Okay, no worries.
Nope, I was just hearing things.
Hey.
Okay.
All right. Well, I say that it is time to put week 14 in the rear view and turn our heads towards week 15. We got 4 weeks left, man. 4 weeks of the regular season left. That's it. But let's get picky with it.
Getting picky with it. Getting picky with it. Getting picky with it. Getting picky with it.
Do we have any playoff clinching scenarios? I know we do, but do you have some info for me?
I've got you some info. So first off, no more buys. We can say bye buys. Bye buys. All right. So I'm gonna hit you with all of it. So first off, we've added one more official elimination. Last week, it was the Texans and Bears who had been eliminated. This week we add the Broncos, officially eliminated from playoff contention. My division winner for that season, the second AFC team to be eliminated from the playoffs, as we all predicted. Russell Wilson and the Broncos are terrible. So here are some clinching scenarios. So the Chiefs can clinch on Sunday with a win. Yeah. They win. They win if they clinch. But they also can clinch their division if they lose and the Chargers lose to the Titans.
Yep.
They can also clinch with a tie against Houston if the Chargers tie as well. They can also punch this is according to SB Nation that I'm essentially reading off. They can punch a ticket through a few different combinations if they tie the Texans. Anyway, Chiefs can clinch this week. We'll just say that way.
Yeah.
The Bills can clinch. All they need is to win over the Dolphins. And then obviously like a bunch of other random stuff. So there's only 2 AFC teams who can clinch on Sunday are the Chiefs.
Is
and the
that
Bills.
for a playoff spot or for the division?
So yeah, sorry.
I know the Chiefs can clinch the division, I believe, with a win.
Yes, Chiefs clinch the division. It looks like the Bills are just clinching a playoff spot.
Okay.
I don't know that they are able. Yeah, they can't clinch their division quite yet.
Okay.
According to this, NFC, the Vikings can lock up their division.
Hey, they could have locked it up on
They
Sunday.
Would have locked
The
it up.
Lions took care of business.
They did. So if they win or tie, they win the division.
Yep.
So there you go. There's obviously a bunch of other things. 49ers, all they have to do is beat the Seahawks and they clinch the division. So they beat the Seahawks on Thursday and they clinch their division. The Cowboys can clinch a spot through 6 different combinations. This one starts off with the easiest. We'll just read that one. If they win over Jacksonville, that's it. They're in the playoffs. They still have to play the Eagles on Christmas Eve, which is essentially their only hope of winning the division.
It's for the division, pretty much.
Obviously, there's a bunch of other scenarios that they can. So then here's some elimination scenarios. 4 teams in the AFC could be eliminated this week. The Colts, the Steelers, the Raiders, and the Browns all can be eliminated this weekend. I won't get into the specifics of how. And then the NFC, the Rams, Cardinals, and Chargers are all facing official elimination.
Wait, not the Chargers.
Sorry, what? I said Chargers?
Yeah.
The Rams, Cardinals, and Saints.
Okay.
I don't know how that came out of my mouth. Rams, Cardinals, and Saints all could be. If the Saints lose the Falcons and the Bucks win, that eliminates New Orleans.
Interesting. Okay. Makes sense because there's a two game gap there with 4 to play. So yeah, that makes sense.
Who is coming up with these things? And it's like, or if the Falcons win and somebody ties, then they're also eliminated. Whatever. Just shut up.
Hey,
That's not going to happen.
If you want to try and predict it yourself, they've already got the NFL playoff machine up on ESPN.com. So
They do.
go have a blast creating all the different scenarios.
I don't understand how that works.
Well, it's all tiebreakers and stuff, but
Yeah.
let's get into the action of Week 15. Starting us off over on Thursday night. This could be a sneaky fun one, man. We've got the San Francisco 49ers heading up to Seattle to take on the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle coming off that upset against the Panthers. The 49ers coming off a complete blowout of the Bucks. The Niners, 3.5-point favorites. I think you can make an argument that it could be a little bit higher, but I think Vegas is anticipating that Seattle offense bouncing back a little bit, and the Niners maybe not being as good with Purdy in his second start once there's a little more tape out there on him. Who knows? But I've got the Niners in this one. I think it's a fairly easy game to pick. Who you got, man?
Yeah, I'm with you. I've got the 49ers in this one. I just think they're the better team.
Yep.
It is hard because it's in Seattle, which is a tough place to play, and we're yet to see Brock Purdy
Falter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's also like we're yet to see him be like we haven't seen a Mike White-esque game from him on either end of the spectrum.
True.
We haven't seen a 4-pick game, and we also haven't seen a 400-yard game. So it's like, what do we is what we're seeing from Brock Purdy what we should expect? or do we just kind of expect the other shoe to drop at some point?
I'll say
Um,
this though, this could be the game where he's got to step up a little bit because Debo Samuel went out with the injury on
Yeah, that's
Sunday.
true.
That's a big playmaker. I mean, San Francisco's got plenty to go around, but
Yeah.
Debo is. I mean, he's a big threat in that offense, and so without him, I think he's going to have to step up a little bit more. I think McCaffrey's going to have to step up a little bit more. But yeah, I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah. And that defense is just unbelievable.
Yes, killer. Yeah, to me, San Francisco currently is probably the third best team in the NFC behind Philly and Dallas. I really like Minnesota, but Minnesota definitely has their flaws, and I would take San Francisco over them currently.
Yeah.
Well, let's head over to Saturday. We get a triple header over on the NFL Network, and starting us off at 1 p.m. on Saturday, we get the Indianapolis Colts heading into Minnesota to take on those Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota 4-point favorites, probably could be a little bit higher against this Colts team. This Colts team is a mess. Who knows what's going to shake out in the offseason for them, but they've got a lot to figure out. I've got the Vikings win this one pretty easily. Would it be crazy for the Colts to put up a fight? I don't think it'd be crazy, but I don't see it happening. Who you got, man?
I didn't realize we had Saturday football until you pointed out it was on Saturday. That's crazy. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I didn't even know to be excited about football this Saturday, but now I am. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Vikings in this one. I do think that the Vikings are the better team. The Colts have looked much better under Jeff Saturday, but I don't know if that is going to be enough to beat a Vikings team that's got 10 wins.
Yes, and a Vikings team that is playing for a division title. All they've got to
Yeah.
do is win this game, and they're in the playoffs. They've won the North. Like, go out there and take care of business. You got no reason not to.
Yep.
Let's move over to the afternoon game. We have the Baltimore Ravens heading into Cleveland to take on the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland are 2.5-point favorites in this game. And I think the reason why is because no Lamar Jackson. Last reports that I saw is that he was aiming to be back by the Christmas Eve game next week. And potentially, there's no Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley went down on Sunday with a concussion. He's in the protocol. Last I saw is he was progressing well, but there's still no word on who the starter will be for Baltimore.
Yeah, and coming off a short week too.
Yeah, I'm tempted. I'm tempted to go Browns here, but I can't do it, man. Like I can't. I like that defense at times, and I think the offense definitely has pieces, but Deshaun Watson has just looked bad since coming back. Like, he has not looked good. He's shown me no reason to have faith in that offense putting up points. I still like Nick Chubb. I think Nick Chubb is the best running back in football, but he kind of got shut down on Sunday as well. So I think I've got to go Baltimore. I don't like picking Baltimore. I don't feel great about that pick, but I gotta go with the Ravens. Who you got, man?
I'm gonna go with the Browns. I think that to me, it's the pieces around those question mark QBs. Like
Yeah.
the question mark of who's actually going to play for Baltimore on Sunday, and then if Deshaun. Now, credit to the Predator that he did like have a little bit of a better game this week than he did last week. So if he continues that like semi progression, that'll be good. But I like the pieces around him on the Browns more than what the Ravens have outside of their QB scenarios.
Yeah.
Both on the offensive side and the defensive side, I like the Browns. So and it's at home. Again, that's like huge thing. Tickets are as low as $11.
Yeah. Go to that
tell
game.
If that doesn't tell you how hard the Browns fans are finding it to support this team,
Yeah.
I don't know what does. That a division game is $11. Deshaun
with
Watson's
a loyal fan base. Like, the Dog Pound is historically a loyal team. That team is garbage most years, and they're still out there packing the stadium.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't blame you for picking the Browns. I definitely thought about it for a minute there.
I don't like it,
Yeah, I
But
mean, I don't like picking the Ravens, so
Yeah.
it's one of those games where it's like this could go either way, and I don't see it being great football in any
No.
capacity.
no.
Well, let's go up to the Saturday night game where we have Miami Dolphins heading into Buffalo to take on their division rivals in the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo 7.5-point favorites. I think that's fair given the performances that we've seen from Miami over the last 2 weeks. Granted, they were facing some good defenses, but they've got another great defense in Buffalo to face
Yeah.
this week, and it's going to be a tough task for them. I'm hopeful that Tua can get back to the ways that he was playing earlier in the season, what we've grown accustomed to seeing, the massive amount of yards that offense racks up, the massive amount of points. But it's gonna be tough against this Buffalo team, and that's why.
And in the snow.
And that's why I've got the Bills getting the win over Miami and locking up a spot in the playoffs. Who you got, man?
I'm with you, man. I think that this game is hopefully it's a treat. Like I would love to just see
Yes.
this game be a great game, an enjoyable game to watch. Really being that we don't really have a dog in the fight. So I just want to see good football. But I think that the Bills, with it being cold weather,
Yep.
frosty up there, Bills Mafia going wild, and you're right. Like the Dolphins have had they're stumbling here at the finish line, which is not what you want to see. And instead of finishing strong and being even with these Bills coming into this game, they're down 2 games, and they've got to have this.
Yep.
If they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. So, maybe there's that's motivating them a little bit, but maybe the stumble continues. So I'm gonna stick with the Bills in this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game Miami needs to win this. And like division aside, they're still alive for an AFC East title. I don't think they'll get there because this is a very meaningful game in that race. But if they fall here, the Patriots are 1 game behind the Dolphins. The Jets are 1 game behind the Dolphins. The Los Angeles Chargers are 1 game behind the Dolphins. And if it gets to where the Jags potentially somehow pull out the AFC South, the Tennessee Titans are 1 game behind the Miami Dolphins. So that's 4 teams right there that could be in a crowded wild card picture, and you don't want to be sitting even with them. So this is a very, very big game for the Dolphins, and they've done themselves no favors with the way that they've played the last 2 weeks. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. For sure. Let's go over to Sunday where we have the Philadelphia Eagles coming into Chicago to take on the Chicago Bears. The Bears are eliminated from playoff contention. The Eagles have already locked up a spot. They're still going for that 1 seed though, so every win does matter. Philly 9-point favorites. I think this is going to be over with by halftime. Bears have nothing. Philly has everything. I've got the Eagles, obviously. Who you got, man?
Yeah, I've got the Eagles in this one too. This is going to be a slaughter fest, and it's going to be a Jalen Hurts tutorial on what it looks like to be a mobile QB in this league. And it's like,
Ooh.
sure, Justin Fields, you can run the ball all over whatever, that's fine, but until you learn how to throw the ball, you're not going to be that good. So we're going to see Jalen Hurts give Justin Fields a little whatnot.
Yeah. I see no good coming from that game for
No.
the Bears. So let's head on down to New Orleans, where we have the Atlanta Falcons heading in to take on the New Orleans Saints, led by a new quarterback. It's Ritter time in Atlanta. That's what I've been calling for about 6 weeks now. And finally, the coaching staff has turned the reins over, which, interestingly, Arthur Smith said it was a performance-based decision. If that was the case, why didn't you do it 4 weeks ago? I mean, and another interesting story in all of this is that Mariota went on IR, even though allegedly it was performance based, but he's also had this nagging knee injury. So why didn't he go on IR sooner? And Ritter, I'm confused by the whole thing. I think it's very interesting. Maybe you have some more insight into this.
Yeah. So based on what I've gleaned from my research, it seems like, you know how there are guys who it's like they have this nagging injury or whatever, and they just kind of play through it.
Yeah.
And it very much seems like Arthur Smith told Ritter that he was getting benched for performance-based issues. That it was like,
Told Mariota.
look, yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
that's what I meant.
I got you.
So he tells Mariota this, and then the next day he doesn't even come back. Like Mariota just like left. He's like, bye. And then he like informs the team of this injury, and then they put him on IR. They have to pick up another backup. They have to sign another backup quarterback, which like
Right.
that was the news that came out first, was that the Falcons signed another quarterback, and it was like, wait, what? And it's some guy I've never heard of. Like I have no idea who this guy is.
He's a former spring league quarterback.
Okay, sure.
Mhm.
There you go.
Yeah. Logan
And
Woodside.
so it's like, yeah, that guy.
Uh,
And so it sounds like a made up name. Like if you were to just be like, hey, make up a name for any white guy, you're like Logan Woodside. Yep, that's it. That's just a random white guy.
Yeah.
Is he white?
yeah, he is.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And pretty obviously. And so anyway, it seems like Mariota really is just like angry, which is so weird. From everything I've heard about Mariota off the field, is that he's like a real team first guy. Like he's a real upbeat, like motivating team leader.
Yeah.
And I think that, and from what I know, like the locker room liked him a lot. And
Yeah.
so it's so weird to me that, I mean, I liked what I saw from Ritter for most of the season, because it was what I expected. I never expected him to come in and be like, let's sign this guy for 5 more years. Like I never thought that was going to be the case.
Right.
He gave me exactly what I expected. But then you have the way he went out last week, and he throws a game losing pick against the Steelers team that like we were supposed to beat them.
Yeah, you should.
And he goes out there, and it was all, I mean, it's all on him. Like a lot of his other mistakes he'd made, it was like, okay, you know, the pick against LA, that he's just trying to make something happen at the end of the game. He's being tackled by Aaron Donald in that moment. And it's
Sure.
like,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course he sailed the ball a little bit. He had other plays that, other than the one where he's like rolling on the ground and he throws it, that was inexcusable. It's like, what on earth are you doing? But it's like, I think it was just kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back as far as performance based, to me, is
Yeah.
what I saw. And then, yeah, it just seems like Mariota didn't like that he got benched, and so he left.
Interesting.
Yeah, so essentially quit on the
Mhm.
team. So I guess I'm officially on Peter's side now. Screw Marcus Mariota. That he's the worst QB in the NFL.
Well,
He's a bum. I don't like him.
I'm excited to see Desmond Ritter. I've been wanting to see him for, like I said, for a couple weeks. I think he looked good in the preseason whenever he got out in the field. I'm excited to see how he does in real game action against real NFL starters. And I actually think this is a good matchup for him. The Saints defense, for as much hype as they got in the offseason, I don't think they're anything spectacular. I think they're a mediocre, like average NFL defense. They're not bad necessarily, but they're definitely not spectacular. So I think this is a good test for him, and I think this will be a good showcase of what he can bring to this Falcons team. So I've actually got the Falcons winning this one. I have very little faith in the Saints team, and I'm much higher on the Falcons. So I'm rolling with the team of ATL. Who you got, man?
Do you even have to ask?
Yeah,
who
I
have
figured
in
as
this one?
much.
I mean, like I'm a little insulted that they have New Orleans favored by 4.
Yeah, I
that
do
on
think
the
it's kind of
neutral
crazy.
site, we would lose by 1. I do think that it is like the unknown of a rookie quarterback that they're like, I don't know, probably gonna lose because he's a rookie. But I also, it's rookie who they feel like will play better than what Marcus Mariota has been giving them. That's why they gave him the starting job.
Yeah.
I am not a believer in the whole like, well, let's see what he's got mentality, because they see it. They see he's on the scout team offense. He's throwing the ball in practice all the time.
Yeah.
And so they see it. And so if they're ready for him, they call him up. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I like you mentioned earlier with the rookie quarterback mistakes. I fully anticipate to see some happy feet, maybe some holding on the ball too long or trying to force something, make something happen, underestimating the speed of the other guys across the defensive players, that he still thinks, hey, I might be faster than this guy, and he's not. That just those like game speed things. And so I'm cautiously optimistic. I just want to see him be able to connect with Drake London and have like a good deep connection, like deep ball connection with Drake London would be huge. And even if Cordell Patterson could get involved in the passing game, which he's been pretty much non-existent in this year.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. And so I'll be interested to see what the offense looks like with Ridder, because he's not quite as athletic as Mariota, but gosh, I don't see how he could be less accurate than Mariota was. So, and from what I've seen from him in the preseason, his deep ball ability is better than Mariota. So it'll be interesting to see how Arthur Smith adjusts the offense and how much he puts on Ridder. I'm just really excited about it, just top to bottom. Excited to watch this Falcons team play on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, from your exciting game to probably the game I'm most excited to watch, and one that I think is sneaky spicy.
Yeah.
And also, who would have thought that this game would have meaning in December between these two teams? We have the Detroit Lions heading into New Jersey to take on the New York Jets. Currently, the line is even. Vegas doesn't know who to favor.
Nope.
Both of these teams absolutely need this win. The Lions, in order to keep... I think the Jets could lose and still be okay if they go out and win the next 3 games. I think if the Lions lose, their season is done. If things miraculously go their way, they could still find a way in, but it's going to be tough at 9-8 to sneak into the playoffs. They need to win out and finish the season 10-7. I like both these teams. I think I probably prefer Detroit just because I've been so invested in them over the last 2 seasons. But this Jets team, I think, is a lot of fun. I think that Mike White is going to have an easier day this week if he plays, depending on how bad that rib injury or whatever he got is. We'll see. But I've got the Lions in this one because I've got that much faith in them. I'm still sticking with them. But I don't think this is going to be an easy one for them to win because that Jets defense is legit. Now, I do have a question for you since you are usually the guy on the injuries. Do we know an update for Mike White, and do we have an update for Quinnen Williams? Because Quinnen Williams also went down in that game on Sunday.
That's a great question. I'm like mid looking it up right now because honestly, I've not made my pick for this game. I have not made. I just don't know.
I went solely with my heart on this one.
Yeah,
because I had nothing else to go. Like I think these teams are so similar in position to where like they're both finding success maybe a little too soon, and I think the Jets are ultimately probably more talented in the long run than this Lions team. But I think the Lions team they're figuring things out and they're starting to believe in themselves. So it's tough to pick. It's tough to pick, man.
Yeah, it's what's so exciting about this game is it's strength versus strength. Like when this Lions offense is on the field and the Jets defense is on the field, it's going to be like, man, this is must-see football. And then when it's the Jets offense against the Lions defense, it's like, let's watch a different game. Like I don't want to have to watch the Jets play offense or the Lions play defense. But I want to watch the Jets play defense and I want to watch the Lions play offense. And so that's to me what makes this matchup so hard to predict. It's like it's just a bad matchup for both of these teams. I guess if you're the Jets, this is kind of the matchup you want. You want your defense to be, like you want to be able to lean on your defense. And if your defense plays well, you're going to win the game. I mean, that's just it. Like if the Jets defense comes out and is lights out, you win. But if the Lions offense comes out and is lights out, you're going to win. And honestly, I just think that this Lions offense is a little too overpowered for this Jets team to be able to completely stop them. And to me, that's what the Jets would need to do because of their ineptitude on offense. Mike White, although I almost made him best of the booth for his just resilience on Sunday, incredible.
Yeah.
But there's nothing about this Jets offense that is scary to me. And if there is anything, it's slightly the passing game, which is the Lions' strength of their defense, is to be able to rush the passer, to be able to play pass coverage.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with the Lions. I think that the Lions offense is just I'm really liking what I see from the Lions offense. And I just don't know that the Jets will be able to stop them enough to be able to keep up with them on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. Looking up some injuries.
Sorry, I looked it up. They're both day to day, which it's
Yeah.
like there's no way to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say this though: if Mike White isn't starting this game, I think that drastically reduces their chances because Joe Flacco has looked bad in every time that he comes in relief, outside of the one miracle game he had in the beginning of the season. And Zach Wilson, Zach Wilson was inactive on Sunday again for the second straight game in a row. I don't know what is going on in that whole area, but yeah, if Mike White can't go, that's gonna be tough for the Jets.
Yeah, Zach Wilson and Mark Mariota are just on the Mormon text line, just crying.
I guess
about being benched for these guys.
The Mormon text line. What a group chat to be a part of.
Your guys' crazy underwear riding up today?
Oh man,
they have to wear their weird underwear under their uniform.
I don't know anything about.
Let's not go down the Mormon underwear rabbit hole. Let's leave that to another podcast.
Oh man, let's head on down to Charlotte where we have the Pittsburgh Steelers rolling in to face this Carolina Panthers squad. I mentioned earlier in the Discord that this Panthers team has been sneaky decent over the last 7 weeks since Steve Wilkes took over. They've gone 4-3 in that span, which means before that they were 1-5 when they fired Matt Rule, and they've gone 4-3 since then, facing some teams that they probably shouldn't beat, such as the Seahawks on Sunday. They also beat the Bucks, blew out the Bucks, which I think the Bucks are a better team. That's not saying much about the Panthers, but I think the Bucks are probably a better team. They could have had another win against the Falcons in that crazy, weird game that went back and forth. So this is a team that can put up a fight, and I think that the Steelers are probably hobbling right now. They've got some injury concerns of their own. They're kind of playing quarterback roulette between Trubisky and Pickett. Going with the Panthers. Again, I don't feel great about picking this team, but I think that they're kind of sneaky. And I don't think this is going to be a good game to watch, but could be fun if you're a fan of either one of these teams. I'm rolling with Carolina. Who you got, man?
Yeah, I'm also going with the Panthers in this one. The Panthers defense they look transformed, man. I mean, the defense is playing like we expected the defense to play all year is really how they've been playing for about the last 4 or 5 games. And I think that what we've seen from Arthur Smith, and I don't know, I'm giving him credit because it's the team I see the closest.
Yeah.
But what I have learned this season in watching Atlanta is that most teams' offensive line, it's easier to run block than it is pass protect. So if you have a bad offensive line, the remedy is to run the ball. And so, especially if your strength, like I know with Atlanta, their strength is in their guards. That Chris Lindstrom, I think is who it is like one of the top rated guards in the league. And so like you ride that, and you don't have to worry about pass protection. And so that's what's helped Marcus Mariota is that pass protection, it doesn't have to be great. He just rolls out and he runs around and he'll be fine.
Right.
But you've got this dominant run game because it's like, look, I don't trust this offensive line to pass block. Well, enter the Panthers, who now they're starting to realize, hey, we don't have the offensive line to pass block either. So let's run the ball for 200 yards a game. And it really is like watching them play Atlanta. They started to just run the ball, and it was like, what, you guys are just doing you just copied us. You're just doing what we did. Stop it. But they're doing it, honestly, over the last 4 or 5 weeks, they've done it seemingly better. That both Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard had 74 yards this week. Ridiculous. So if they with that defense plus a dominant run game, this Panthers team, they might not want to truffle with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Well, let's head on out to, let me find where I'm at. We're going down to Jacksonville, where we have the Dallas Cowboys heading into town to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Cowboys only 4.5-point favorites on the road. I think a lot of that might be due to the way they performed against the Texans on Sunday and the way the Jaguars looked in their game against the Titans, where they pretty much blew out the Titans. Very much in control for most of that game. I've got the Cowboys in this one, though. I think Cowboys are just the better team. There's not much to discuss, I think, when it comes to the Jags. I think the Jags are risky at times, can be fun, but they're still another year or two away from being really competitive in the league. So who you got, man?
Yeah, I'm going with the Cowboys. They are starting to worry me that they might not have what it takes. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's no talent. I don't know what's the deal in Dallas. I don't know.
It's weird, man. They seem to be a very hot and cold team. Like one week you get a fantastic performance where they put up 54 points on the Colts, and the next week they're doing what they do to the Texans, or you have a game like they had against Green Bay where it's like what's happening here? What's going on? But I still think they're one of the best teams. I think they're a heavy hitter, and especially in the NFC. But yeah, it's weird. I feel like they're possibly the most beatable of the big three.
Yeah,
between Philly, Dallas, and San Francisco.
Yeah. I do think that maybe it is just a fluke that when you play the Texans, you forget everything you know about football because they're just so bad that it's like, what are we even doing?
Potentially.
Do I throw it horizontally? Is that like, do I turn the football wide ways and throw it that way? Is that how I'm supposed to throw it? Yeah, so maybe that's what it was, and they're going to come back and be like, no, we do remember how to play and stomp on the face of the Jaguars like you would expect them to do. So I'm still picking the Cowboys in this one, but yeah, going Cowboys.
Yeah, well,
but I wouldn't be surprised if the Jags capitalize. Who knows?
I agree. I could see the Jags. I could see the Jags maybe sneaking out like a 27-24 type victory. Or I could also see the Cowboys winning like 31-14. I could see it going either way. But yeah, I'm with you. And you mentioned tossing the football sideways against this Texans team. Well, maybe we'll get to see some of that on Sunday when Patty Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs head on down to Houston.
Ooh, there you
as
go.
Mahomes likes to make all kinds of weird plays,
Spin
including
it like it's a free throw. You
including
spin it.
just casually tossing one to his running back to take off and score a touchdown with. The guy is a human highlight reel, and the Chiefs are favored by 14 against this Texans team, and we all know what happened last week when Dallas was favored by 17. I think this will be a real test to see if everybody does forget how to play against Houston, or if the Cowboys just had a very, very bad day. But I've got the Chiefs rolling in this one because I'd be an idiot to pick the Texans, and the Chiefs are too good. So who you got, man?
Yeah, same. I mean, why would anybody pick the Texans to win a football game this year?
Yeah, but they made some people some money on Sunday.
They
That's
might.
for sure.
Now, can they cover the spread? Absolutely. I would not bet against them. I wouldn't. I would not bet against the spread if I'm,
Yeah.
It's like sure. Will it probably happen? Yeah, but it also probably might not.
Yeah.
Also, why are tickets to this game 78? I guess it's just
Because it's Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick
They're like,
Mahomes.
we can charge money for this one.
Yep.
Can't charge money to come to any of our other games.
Yep. That's what it is.
That's funny.
Well, let's head up to Colorado where we have the Arizona Cardinals
Do we have to?
heading in to take on the Denver Broncos. I mean, the game's got to be played. It was put on the schedule. You can't just take away a game. But Kyler Murray is going to be out for the rest of the season. Probably miss time next year as well. He has tore his ACL on a non-contact play on Monday night. The old turf monster got him. And
On the real grass. Everybody complaining about turf, and it was the real grass that did it. So I don't want to hear the complaints. Everybody complains about the turf. It's the real grass that took out Kyler. So what you got now? Who you gonna blame now?
And on the other side, Russell Wilson might not play in this game either because he went out with a concussion on Sunday, and what's his name? Brett Ripien filled in for him. So we might get a backup game. And as if this game wasn't already meaningless and awful enough, now we get backup quarterbacks playing in it instead of seeing Russ versus Kyler in what, 12 months ago looked like would have been a fantastic matchup. Especially with how well those two teams know, or those two guys know each other, haven't played in the same division for a couple years. But not no mo. So I've got the Broncos in this one because somebody's got to win it. Who you got, man?
Same. I got the Broncos. They got the better defense, allegedly. Maybe.
Allegedly.
I don't know. Nobody knows anything about this Broncos team. I'm not even sure that's their real name. I mean, like, at this point, they could be like, actually, our name is Pedro. And we'd be like, dang it. I knew it wasn't even the Broncos.
I feel like the GMs for these two teams should just get together and make this like the head coach bowl. Whoever wins this gets to keep their job next season because both these guys should be gone.
Yes.
But if maybe put a little meaning to this game, make it to where, hey, go show me something, go win the game. I'll keep you around for another year.
Roger Goodell should do that. Be like, hey, we don't need this. This is conduct detrimental to the brand of the NFL. So whoever loses this game, you're fired. I'll fire you.
But would that make you want to watch it anymore?
No.
Yeah, same here. So let's go out to Vegas where we have the New England Patriots heading into town to take on the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders allowing Baker Mayfield.
I just need to pause.
Yeah.
You didn't roll the R for the Raiders?
Yeah, I didn't.
And it like I feel like I might need to throw up. Like, I don't know.
They do not deserve an R roll after what they did on Thursday night, allowing a guy that had been in the building for 48 hours to come out there and beat them.
Still living out of his suitcase.
Still living out of his dang suitcase. I mean, the guy hasn't even had time to go take a bathroom break, I feel like, in that building. And you're letting him beat you on Thursday night in primetime on Amazon for the entire world to see. Come on, Raiders. This is, you've had some low points this season. This might be your lowest point. And it's not going to get any better because I've got the Patriots coming into town and beating you. And I'm not even that high on this Patriots team. I think they're good, but not great. I certainly don't think they're worthy of being in the playoffs when you look at some of the other teams that are right there with them.
Yeah.
I would much rather see the Chargers. I think I would even prefer to see the Jets with the way the Jets have played.
Yeah.
But the Patriots are right there in the mix, tied with both those teams at 7-6. And I've got them coming into town and taking over Vegas and shutting down the Raiders and getting the win. Vegas, for what it's worth, agrees with me. They have New England as 1-point favorites. So they are the favorite on the road. Who you got, man?
Yeah, for some reason I'm starting to lean towards the Raiders. I don't know what it is about it that they're just calling me.
Don't do it.
Which should tell you something. So here's what I'm gonna do. Officially, I'm gonna pick the Patriots. But I'm just gonna tell all of you, Raiders are gonna win. I don't know why I know that, but they're gonna win. Raiders are gonna come out and win. Devontae Adams gonna have a big day. Josh Jacobs gonna have a big day.
I wouldn't be surprised, and it would be like a Josh McDaniels revenge game kind of thing. Facing Bill Belichick, who he coached under for years and years.
I forgot that. Yeah, never mind. Definitely give me the Patriots then. I was about to change my pick until you said that, and then I was like, "Oh, ain't no way he's gonna outcoach Belichick."
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see the Raiders win this because that's kind of how the Raiders have been. They've looked really bad at times, and they've gone out and won games that they probably shouldn't win at other times, or been competitive. That game against the Chiefs, that it was a 1-point loss. They should have won that game. They've been competitive against teams that they have no business being competitive against. So it wouldn't surprise me, but I've got to stick with New England.
Yeah.
Well, let's
good call.
Let's go out to beautiful SoFi Stadium where we have the Tennessee Titans heading into town to take on Justin Herbert and the boys. They got it done against the Dolphins on Sunday Night Football. Chargers currently at home are 3-point favorites against this Titans team. I could see it being a little higher than that. I've fallen off the Titans' love. That offense is real bad outside of Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry did as much as he could on Sunday, put up 122 yards. I think like 97 of those were in the first quarter, and then he fizzled out. But he tried to get it done and could not. And I've got the Chargers in this one because I think that team is getting healthy at the right time. They were without a lot of players on the defensive side on Sunday night, but that offense is getting things clicking. They're getting guys back. I think this was the first game that they had that Herbert had Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. I want to say. So I'm excited for where the Chargers are headed because I really like this team. I think they've got a lot of good players. They've just been banged up all season, and if they can get healthy at the right time and get into the playoffs, I think they could give themselves a chance. I've got the Chargers. Who you got, man?
I don't know. So I was originally here's I'll take you on the roller coaster I've been on in the last 30 seconds. Originally I'd pick the Chargers, but because you guys keep talking smack about the Titans, and I keep trying to tell you they're a really good team, I was like, you know what? Out of principle, I'm going to take the Titans. Then I looked it up. Chargers have one of the worst run defenses in the league, like bottom 5 run defense in the league. That spells disaster to play against Derrick Henry, right?
It could.
I don't know what there we go.
You're good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then so bottom 5 defense, and then I was like, okay, well let me look at some other things. Titans have one of the best run defenses in the league. They have a top 10 total points offense. I mean total points defense. Then you go to their passing defense, and they're the second worst passing defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, well that's not what you want to see against the Chargers. Like,
yep.
Of all the teams, it's like, no, you need to stop the pass. It's the Chargers. Like you can't just let Justin Herbert do whatever he wants to because you're gonna lose. So I don't know. Like sitting as it right now, it's a terrible matchup for both of these teams. That the Chargers should be able to throw the ball however they want, and the Titans should be able to run the ball. And when you have those two things, it's like, well, I'm tempted to take time, like clock management, Titans, run the ball, Derrick Henry. and honestly, coaching, I'd probably go Mike Vrabel over Brandon Staley.
Yeah.
But also, if you've got the second worst yards per game passing, like, they're worse than the Lions.
Yeah.
They allow 20 more yards per game than the Lions.
Yep.
The only team worse defending the pass than them, the Vikings. Everything makes sense now. Everything makes sense now.
I tried to tell you on Sunday, the gap between the Titans and the Lions is not that big.
That's fair.
I'm with you that I think the Titans are a good team, but I think you are staying on that really good bandwagon a little longer than you should be.
I might be staying on it a little bit longer than I should. Yeah, I definitely see the graph of the Titans and Lions this year have been trending in opposite directions, and they're probably about the
Most
same
definitely.
point right now
Mhm.
and trending opposite. Yeah, especially when you look at their future. Like, the future of the Titans is definitely going down. The future
It's
of the Lions
bleak.
is
Yep.
like next year. I would absolutely say that the Lions are going to be better than the Titans next year. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I'll go with the Chargers. I think it could be a disaster for the Chargers matchup wise if Derrick Henry gets rolling, which he absolutely should in this game.
Yeah.
But also it could be a matchup nightmare for the Titans in the passing game and just allowing. So I guess with that, I'm going to go Chargers. All that to say, Chargers are the home team. I'll stick with the Chargers.
Yep. I'm with you. We're not disagreeing on a lot this week. Kind of in agreement on most of these. And I have a feeling we're going to be agreement on the next one. We've got the Cincinnati Bengals heading on down to Tampa to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. On the road, the Bengals are 3.5-point favorites. This Bengals team, they're getting hot, man. They're getting hot. They're taking care of business. They're doing what they got to do. And they're facing a Bucs team that just got blown out 35-7 versus a rookie quarterback. So I'd be a fool not to pick Cincinnati. I think that Joey B and the bunch are going to take care of business and get the job done and move one step closer to locking up another AFC North division title. So I've got the Bengals. Who you got, man?
With you. I got the Bengals. I don't think very much of Tom Brady. As we've discussed already, he's a doo-doo head.
He's a doo-doo
head. Give me the Bengals in this one.
Yep. So let's head on over to Sunday Night Football. We got a flex game. This game was flexed a couple weeks ago, I believe.
Flex!
The New York Giants head on down to Maryland to take on the Washington Commanders. NBC loves them some NFC East games on Sunday Night Football. I personally would have rather seen the Jets and Lions, but I understand that when they made this flex, those teams, it was still question marks around them.
Yeah.
Last time we saw these two teams meet, they ended in a tie. If they play another 70 minutes, I guess it'd be 70 because 60 plus the 10 minutes of overtime. If they play another 70 minutes and end in a tie, I don't know what we're all going to do. But I
would almost guarantee it would be the only time in NFL history
probably
two teams have tied in the same year.
Probably. I've got Washington are 4.5-point favorites. I like the Commanders more. I think I've never bought into the Giants fully. I've wanted to. I think at times they have looked good. But the story of this team was that they're scrappy. And they won a lot of close games that they probably shouldn't have won because they're scrappy and they fought back and they made big plays at the right time. But that luster has faded. And they are no longer that same scrappy young bunch. I think they're still capable of putting up a fight, but they're just not doing it consistently. And I like where this Washington team is at a lot more. I think that offense is fun to watch. I think the defense has stepped up and made some big plays whenever they've had to. And Washington's coming off a bye. I've got the Commies. Who you got, man?
Are the Giants not also coming off a bye?
I don't know.
Wait.
I don't believe so. I think they just
They usually double bye. Like if a team had a bye, they usually play them against somebody else who had a bye.
No, they just got blown out against the Eagles.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I'm going with the Commies as well. I think that they're this Commanders team under Heine has been absolutely like like night and day different. I mean,
Yep.
like crazy how different this team looks. And obviously they've got Brian Robinson who got healthy around the same time, so you might be able to pin some of that on him too.
Sure.
But whatever it is, when that happened, this team looks very different. So I think that continues here. I think that the Commanders are a really good football team. Terry McLaurin, to me, is the most underrated receiver in football. And so, yeah, I really like the Commanders in this one.
Yep. I'm with you. Let's roll over to Monday Night Football, to a matchup that looked a lot better a year ago than it does currently. We have the Los Angeles Rams heading into Green Bay to take on the Green Bay Packers. Currently, the Packers are 7-point favorites, and I have to say, tickets are as low as $32. I don't remember the last time I saw tickets that low for a game at Lambeau Field in December.
Yeah.
That's a very big deal. Says a lot about where this team is at currently. Part of me really wants to pick the Rams because of the Baker Mayfield story, because of how much I like Baker and how hopeful I am that he could find some level of success out there. But this Packers team's coming off a bye. I think they're hopefully figuring some things out. Maybe it hasn't been announced, but maybe Jordan Love starts this game. Maybe they turn it over to him for the rest of the season. I don't know. I don't know what to feel about this team currently. It's not good. Their playoff hopes are slim. I'm going with the Packers, I guess. Who you got, man?
Yeah, pretty funny that if before the year started, if you had said that the Packers and the Falcons were going to have the same record, I don't even know which way I would have leaned. Like, would you have leaned this way, or would you have leaned towards the Falcons being really good?
No, I would have leaned towards the Falcons being really good. Or I would have said, I would have thought they probably would have been like 8 or 9 win teams at this point. Like the Falcons were better than expected, and the Packers were maybe a little bit worse than expected.
Yeah, but not this. This
not
is crazy.
This. Yeah,
no. Mostly from the Packers' standpoint. This is
yes.
very disappointing. Yeah, I'm going with the Packers. I think that they have found their identity. I think that they're coming together on defense. They're realizing that maybe they're better being a run reliant team, and maybe that's offensive line related, like I talked about with the Panthers and the Falcons. Or maybe it's just sheer talent at this point. Like, Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, that's a solid duo. Maybe the second best duo in the league after Pollard and Zeke. I mean, I really like this duo of running backs, and so, yeah, give me the Packers in this one. The Rams are just, I don't know that Baker Mayfield's going to be able to do much better than Stafford was, and even then, Baker Mayfield doesn't play defense, so like that's not going to help on that side of the ball, which is also anemic. So yeah, give me the Packers in this one. But
I wonder.
I'll watch it.
I wonder if it's maybe a little too late for Christian Watson to make a run at Rookie of the Year, because he's already got like 6 touchdowns in like 3 or 4 games.
He's got a ton of touchdowns.
So there's 4 games left. Maybe if him and Rodgers can keep building that chemistry, or if Jordan Love comes in and they've got a little chemistry, maybe he can put up some yards, put up some more touchdowns. I think he could put himself in that conversation, because there hasn't really been an offensive rookie that has run away with it. We thought for a minute there that Chris Olave potentially would, but he's only got like 800 yards and 3 touchdowns. Dameon Pierce has looked good down in Houston, but he's actually, I think I saw a report today that he's getting shut down. He's got some kind of injury. And then Breece Hall went injured. Kenny Walker looked good at times, but he's dealt with some injury. Pickett hasn't been great. Yeah, so there's definitely, I think, a chance there.
Yeah, for sure.
Be
If he can
that
finish out strong.
that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting,
Crazy.
especially given the way his season started. But
Yeah.
well, that will do it for week 15. Some interesting games this week. There's a couple of really good ones, and there's some that are just like, do we have to have this? Like, does this have to be a matchup? But I'm excited. Should be another good week of football. This whole season has been spectacular, so I expect to see more chaos and for it to be another good one. But as always, we appreciate you listening however you are listening. If it's on Spotify, Apple, Google, YouTube, whatever, we appreciate it. Come follow us on our social media. Watch the madness take place on Twitter that Blake is creating over there. Come hop into the Discord and have some fun with daily sports conversation and movies in general and whatever.
Yeah.
You know, we just talk life and fun stuff in there. So come hang out. It's a good time, but we appreciate it and we appreciate the love and the support. And I think, as always, that's that.
That's that.